WQAD News 8, this is WQAD This Week.
Good morning. It's Sunday, January 15th. Thank you for joining us for News 8 This Week. I'm John Diaz. This week, Iowa Senator Joni Ernst was in eastern Iowa. Her stops included a visit to North Scott High School, where she talked about school security. And before that, she stopped by the News 8 studios for a conversation with our own Jonathan Fong.
Joining us today, we have Senator Joni Ernst. Joni, thank you so much for joining us today.
It is great to be with you. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks, we appreciate it. So first question, what are you hearing from your constituents in eastern Iowa about what they would like to see you do in the Senate?
Yes, we're hearing a lot from constituents in Iowa, all across Iowa, but primarily we're hearing about small businesses. I'll be the ranking member on the Small Business Committee, and so they're excited to share information that would be beneficial to those small businesses. We also have the 2023 Farm Bill reauthorization, and of course, between Iowa and Illinois, we're big ag states, so they're sharing things about conservation and crop insurance and any number of rural development ideas. So there's a lot going on. Hopefully we'll have a productive Senate this year.
Right, for sure. How do you focus your efforts to pass legislation when the climate in Washington, just from an outsider's perspective, it seems so divisive, it seems so divided right now?
Yes, and I know that a lot of people feel that, they see that maybe on the television, but I would say that there is a lot of cooperation between the parties when it comes to working on the constituent issues. So things like the Farm Bill, they're actually very, very bipartisan. They're just not the big sexy topics that people like to talk about on the news. So there is a lot going on in Washington, D.C., and again, we hope that we can be really productive.
Right, for sure. What bills are you looking forward most to introducing this year? I know, we kind of talked about small businesses, about agriculture. Are these kind of the areas of focus?
Absolutely. Small business and agriculture are those are two of my primary focuses, but then also armed services. I do a lot of work on each year's National Defense Authorization Act. Senator Tammy Duckworth and I, we both work very hard to support our men and women in uniform. So that's another area of focus that I will have, making sure that we're getting the right training and the right resources for our men and women in uniform.
Right, for sure. At the end of this year, how will you define success and kind of be able to say to Iowans that you served them in the way they deserve?
I think there has been a lot of focus and attention on getting the appropriations process under control, the way the federal government is spending. And so if we can address some of those concerns in this upcoming year, I think that will be a great success. Also getting that Farm Bill reauthorized is so important to a lot of our constituents. That would also be a success. But always being accessible and out and about, doing my county tours, that's really important too. Just so Iowans know that they can come to me, share information, and have a voice in Washington, D.C.
Right, for sure. Kind of the last question, last week we saw quite an unusual start to the House new session, and we know that there was a lot of disagreements among the Republican Party members. Are you seeing anything like that on the Senate side? Does that impact your work or any of your relations, with colleagues from either party?
Well, it's important to have those strong relationships too, and I do believe that good relationships make good legislation, just like good fences make good neighbors, things like that. But focusing on the legislation, you're going to have natural partners, and there might be others that you have to work a little harder with, because we all do have various degrees of disagreement, even within our parties. So the Senate got off to a much smoother start maybe than the House did, but at the end of the day, we're just going to have to find those natural partners and work with them where we can agree on legislation.
Right. Senator, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by. We hope you enjoy your time in Eastern Iowa.
Great to be with you. Thank you.